Hazard.
Habari.
Bonjour.
Salam.
In how many languages can you say hello? It's estimated there are between 1,500 to 3,000 languages spoken on the African continent. But out of that number, around 200 languages are on the verge of dying out. That means that the language will no longer exist as a spoken form because there's no one left alive to speak it. For example, in Sierra Leone, there are at least 3 languages which are severely or critically endangered. They're known as Bom, Mani, and Kim. In 2008, the United Nations estimated that there were only 20 people in the whole world left who spoke Kim. Meanwhile, over in Ethiopia, there are at least 24 languages which are at risk of becoming extinct, such as the Shabo and Zay languages. And in Namibia, the Kwe language is also vulnerable. The reason many languages die out is because they're spoken and not written down. That means when people die, the language dies with them. But is it necessary to preserve dying languages when people tend to use French or English when it comes to finding a job in so many places?
I think it's pretty important, to protect those African dying languages because, it's a question of identity. It's very important for people to remind themselves where they're coming from, and it's also a question of heritage. It's also a question on what are we going to be able to transfer to the next generations.
And it's not just about preserving identity. Some experts believe that growing up bilingual helps to boost your intelligence.
Now let's take a look at some other stories making headlines across the continent.
Yes, first up, a few weeks ago we told you about the latest outbreak of Ebola in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
While the death toll has sadly risen to 75, 3,000 people are now being vaccinated and a dozen patients are being treated with new drugs.
But some good news, 2 of those people so far have recovered.
And don't forget, if you're worried about this story or want to know more about what Ebola is, why don't you visit YouTube.